Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining me on another video. I'm actually on time this week. Wow. Hopefully this finds y'all well. Um, this is my last week on short-term disability leave. I go back Wednesday and I'm kind of ready and I'm kind of not. To be quite honest, I could probably use another couple of weeks at best, but unfortunately, I can't afford disability pay. Disability pay is 60% of my regular check. So I cannot afford that 40% cut for this long. But it'll be good to get back into a routine and on an even keel. Gracie has decided to photobomb me. Oh, I guess not. But today I want to talk about how wonderful it's been in this healing journey. Um, I've actually been reconnecting with people that I haven't talked to in years because of my ex. He would never outright say I couldn't talk to anybody, but man, did he make it difficult. Because as I've mentioned before in other videos, if I tried to have a conversation with anyone, it was always, who are you talking to? What do you what do you say? Or tell him this, tell him that. Oh, it's them. Oh, tell him da 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 da. Make sure you let them know that you know the truth, because they don't know what we don't know that they're saved, and any number of things. And so I could never have a decent conversation because he was always there. And most people didn't know how to take him, how to deal with him. Because as I'm finding now, and I didn't know this, but a lot of people were scared of him. Um, when I found this out, it really took me aback because it's like I was so used to him that I knew the harm he wasn't going to do, that he claimed he was, or how he portrayed, because he came across very intimidating. And that also made me think and realize that, yeah, he's worse than I thought he was. Because again, this was my normal. So dealing with him in his heightened state, I mean, these are people that were scared of him that never saw the side I did. So I could only imagine how scared they would be if they ever saw that side. Which I doubt anybody ever will because he puts on a good show. But I digress. Uh, Reconnecting with people has been so wonderful. On Friday, I had lunch with an old friend that I've known for, I want to say, about 12 years, give or take. And we lost connection because of my husband, my ex-husband. And I mean, we kind of stayed together, connected on Facebook a little bit, but nothing too close because of my ex. But last week, early last week, like Monday or so, it dawned on me, hey, wait a minute. We talked a little bit ago and she wanted to reconnect. let me check in on her. And sure enough, um, we had lunch this past Friday, and it was so wonderful, y'all. I mean, we met at noon at a little local restaurant place that probably has not remodeled since the 70s when they opened. But it was a nice little place, and we sat there and talked and talked. I caught her up on everything dealing with me. She caught me up with everything dealing with her. And we've dealt, turns out we kind of been through similar path over the last several years. So that was really helpful and comforting. And we talked until about 1:30, quarter to 2, when I had to go because I had a therapy appointment for 2 o'clock. Had I not had a therapy appointment, we'd probably stayed at the restaurant until at least 3:30, if not 4, because we were just talking and reconnecting. It was so awesome. And then about a month ago, I reconnected with another friend from the same church that this last friend was going to. And it was so wonderful just reconnecting with her and rekindling those friendships. I'm a very social person. I could never do anything that didn't deal with people. I've always said that with jobs, that any job I do has to deal with people. You're going to think I'm crazy, but one of my favorite jobs was working at a fast food place and working at a truck stop. I think the truck stop was actually number one and the fast food place number two. Because truckers, yeah, they're tough, but they're also teddy bears. And they're hilarious if you learn to take them with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're inappropriate, but whenever one was inappropriate with me, I'd immediately set them straight and say, no, you crossed the line. Didn't do it again. You know, they're very respectful. And the fast food place, I love the regulars that came in. I love just socializing with people. And I didn't realize how much I missed that until the last couple of months when I started reconnecting with people. And it's been a process because, quite frankly, I have to remind myself that I can reconnect with people. Because, for one thing, I've been kind of standoffish with people, kind of a self-protection thing, self-preservation mode, not wanting to get hurt, not because, you know, and partially because I didn't want to hurt by reaching out to people and not being able to have a decent relationship with these women because of him. And so, again, over the past few months, it's been a process of remembering, oh yeah, I can reach out to them and talk to them and have a conversation that's not interrupted with literally 500 texts saying when you're coming home, or you'd rather be away than at home. Well, yeah, I did, but he didn't know that. And it's been so refreshing to be able to reconnect. Because, like I started to say, and I got on a rabbit trail, um, I didn't realize how much I missed those friendships until I started reconnecting. Because, as it turns out, these ladies have been through some tough times too, and we can be, just being there for each other. That's so fulfilling to me because I love being there for people. I love helping people. That's what God wired me for. And to just have that and to know that I have people that have my back, because obviously I didn't know I had people. My ex had me convinced I had basically no one. I owe even my family. I mean, deep down I knew that my mother and sister were always there for me and that they had my back and that ultimately they were just a call away. But I still felt distant because part of it was mom and my sister didn't know how to handle seeing me in such an abusive relationship where they knew I deserved better. And they didn't understand. Because my mom, first time she tried to leave my father, she left. That was it. Done. And never went back. It took her a little while to file for the divorce because she was trying to work things out, but he never had an attitude change, so things never worked out. But so it was hard for my mom to understand why it took me 3 times when I'm finding out that on average it takes an abuse victim 4 times to leave before the victim has finally gone for good. That's an average. So I'm happy that I made it under the average, but it's still, my mom couldn't understand because she left the first time. That was it. Gone. Done. And so there was that distance, but ultimately I knew my mom and my sister had my back. But I didn't feel really close to the rest of my family because though they may not have known everything, I don't know if they knew anything or if mom told them anything. But I just distanced myself because, like I said, it was easier because I was in a time of my life where I felt that people, all they did was hurt. That trying to form a relationship with someone, all it did was hurt. And it was mainly because, if any kind of relationship that I tried to forge didn't click, it was because of him, more often than not. And it was just easier to protect myself by not reaching out to people. And then when everything went down last year, and after about a month, my mom asked if she could tell her siblings. My mom is one of 8 kids. At that point, 5 of them, 5 of them were still alive at that point. And I said, yeah, you can go ahead and tell them now. I'm ready, because I was expecting questions or how could you stay? and at that point I was ready for that after a month out. All I got was praise and comfort. My youngest aunt, my mom's youngest sister, messaged me and said how proud she was of me. And another aunt who has since passed away, she was the first one who messaged me and said, "Baby, your mama told me what happened. I am so proud of you. You got this." Y'all, you have no idea how good that felt, because I did not think that anybody would be proud of me. I didn't think I deserved the accolades or the kudos, because I figured, I should have left way sooner, which I should have. Um, and I figured I would get admonishment for not leaving sooner, or I told you so's, which I not necessarily didn't deserve. But um, it just felt so good to have that support. And that was part of the situation, that how he isolated me, because I didn't think I had the support. Because partially I stepped away from the family because he'd always mock me when I would talk about any family member, because um, he would say the almighty family and said I worship them. Truth is, I didn't worship them. They were family. We're close. For a huge family like we are, we're all close. Drive each other nuts sometimes, but in the end, we all have each other's backs. And that was a danger to him, because that kept him from being in total control. As long as I had any idea that my family was there for me, that was a danger to him and um, his mindset and his plans, because he wanted me completely isolated. So he mocked him so much every time I mentioned him that I purposely distanced away, because I was trying to save my marriage. So I figured, okay, I'll step back, not really have any kind of relationship with them right now, and just focus on the marriage. And that's exactly what he wanted. And so now, reconnecting with my family and friends has been wonderful. Reconnecting with young kids that I mentored kind of when they were teenagers. They're young adults now in their 20s. And I've reconnected with a lot of them. And over this past month, spent time with them. And it's been so awesome, because that's me. I've always had a heart for the young, to help them, mentor them, you know, kind of shape them, be mama penny figure, I guess, is lack I can think of. And that has been so fulfilling that now I can fulfill that role again. Because I always had that, and I mean, my two older kids, their friends all call me mom. Uh, the friends that they still have from when they were teenagers call me mom or mama because that's just me. Um, that's how my mom was. All my friends called her mom. One place she worked at, she was the general manager, yet majority of the employees called her mom. So, I get it honestly. And I get it from my great grandmother. Because my great grandmother not only raised her sons, but she raised other people's kids too. Uh, Mostly relatives. But one child she helped raise from the time she was in 12th grade, a senior in high school, wasn't even a blood relative at the time. She eventually married my uncle, one of my grandmother's sons. But it's just been so fulfilling to make all of these connections again and to realize that I'm not alone because that's his the biggest thing. He had me convinced that I was pretty much alone. And I was to an extent. But I wasn't as alone as I thought. I mean, people stopped really talking to me too much and reaching out to me because of him. I mean, I have a very, very dear friend that was godmother to my daughter. Um, the one whose husband passed away last year. We've been knowing each other for 28 years, and she flat out told me, and she felt so bad about it. She and I were talking one day about how my ex prevented me from having the friends that I wanted to have. And she just started crying, and she's like, I never want you to think that we didn't love you. She and her husband, um, never came over because they were aggravated with my ex. And they only tolerated him because of me, because they loved me. And she said that her husband tried to get along with my ex. I mean, they didn't fight or anything, but her husband really did not like my ex because he saw him for what he was, amongst other things, including hypocrisy. And she felt so bad because she's like, it was never you, it was always him. And I said, I get that. And I knew that even then. I mean, I couldn't even go see her husband in the hospital when he became sick because of my ex. And that hurt because I wanted to go see him. But I knew they didn't want him over there because they didn't want to deal with his stupidity. Because they were afraid he would. Heaven only knows what he would have said. I don't go into deep detail of how he was, but he was a major hypocrite when it came to Christianity. he preached Christianity all day long, but yet not follow one thing he preached. And they didn't want to hear it. And he had been known to flat out tell a person, "You're not saved. You need to get saved." Just because he sees one or two things that may not be a fruit of the Spirit, when, quite frankly, not for us to judge. That's between them and God. And, there are times when obviously a person, you can tell they're not truly saved, like my ex. He claimed to be, and he may be now, I don't know, but he surely wasn't then. And they didn't want to deal with his hypocrisy or his stupidity when here our friend is on his deathbed. And so I was going to try to go see him by myself, and that would have been fine. They'd have loved that. But I never had our vehicle, because my ex always had to have the car, our SUV. He always had to have it because that was a control thing. Because ironically, he accused me of cheating on him. And it's like, I never had the time. If I wasn't at work, I was at home, or I was at church. That's it. I pretty much did. Or I was picking up my youngest son from work or bringing him to work. That was it. I could account, or the occasional Bible study when I could tear away from him. That was it. So it was just a form of control. So he would always know where I was. He claimed it was because with him driving, he knows I'll be okay and nobody will mess with me. I'm driving. Who's going to mess with me while I'm driving? And I know how to take care of myself. I may not be the strongest person on earth, but I'm not the weakest either. I can take care of myself. And he knew it, but he didn't want me to know it. Because if I knew it, then I would have strength and want to leave him. And so, I didn't get to see our friend before he died. And in a way, it's a mixed blessing, because then I could remember him how he was and not how he was in the hospital. Because he had tubes and stuff connected to wires and such. So in a way, it's a good thing. But it was still hard, because I love that man. I mean, like a brother. He was a giant. He was like 6'5" or 6'4", but he had a heart of gold. And he was the best friend. There, at the drop of a hat, all I had to do was call him and say, I need this. Can you pick me up? I don't have my car. This happened, that happened. And he's right there. But he was a good man. And I'm convinced that when the day I left my ex, he put his hands on his hips, looking down from heaven, saying, well, it's about time. I'm sorry, I digress, y'all, because I didn't realize how much that still affected me. My goodness. But reconnecting, that has been one of the biggest blessings that I've had in all of this, I mean, obviously, the biggest blessing is the freedom and the lack of drama. But it, it's it's been overwhelming, and I still have my days. Um, that's always going to happen. I mean, for at least a while. I mean, I was abused for well over 20 some years with him. And then, you know, another 20 some years, um, actually close to like 30 some years with my biological father. So it's not going to heal overnight, even though I would like it to. My therapist has heard me on more than one occasion fussing that I want to be over with this now. Done. Finished. But it doesn't work like that. But all of these things are happening that are good. Um, I got a mission statement and a vision statement for my foundation, and I'm working on getting a business plan so I can start working on funding and then getting it uh, recognized as a nonprofit. So I'm excited about that. Um, so that's where things are now. Um, so I think I'll end this video now. You guys have a wonderful week and stay blessed. And I'll see you next weekend.